Hey there, Sovereigns. Monica Grace here with cardreadingqueen.com. Today's topic is a sticky one that is a super common question in the twin soul world. We are talking about why your twin soul is currently married and how do you deal with it. Now, there are lots of people who talk about this. I know that I've seen many of these videos myself. Everybody has a different take, and sometimes it's a little challenging to hear some of the things that people think about it. So I just want to let you know that this is just my take. I think some of the stuff might be challenging to hear, but I just want to give you some ideas that may or may not be applicable to your own situation. So I tend to divide this topic into two different ones. So the first one is, was a choice made before you found out about twin souls? So did you find out about twin souls and your twin that you met was already married? Versus did you find out about twin souls and then sometime after that, your twin soul married someone else? So these are two very different situations and scenarios, and you definitely need to consider them differently. So let's first talk about the scenario where you've met your twin soul, but they happen to already be married. Now, something obvious here is that they made that choice to get married before they knew about twin souls and before they understood twin souls. So that scenario is one where that choice may have been a great choice for them at the time, and they didn't necessarily do anything wrong or unusual on their journey, but they happened to have made that choice before they really understood the connection that you share with them. Often when a twin soul marries another, or when they are married to another, that person is typically either a soulmate for them or can also be a karmic twin for them. And there are some differences between those that I distinguish. Not everybody does. Now, the karmic twin I think of as more of a negative vampiric energy on someone, whereas a soulmate is somebody that is compatible with your twin, and they're having beautiful and amazing lessons with that person, but that person's just not their twin soul, not their spiritual partner. With the karmic, they're also having lots of lessons, but that is more of like a trial by fire types of lessons. So that can be that can often come from a more toxic energy. The soulmate it's not necessarily a toxic energy. It can be a very loving and beautiful relationship, but it's just that person's not the twin soul of like that marriage is not built on twin soul relationships. So what I see that's typically happening in these situations is that the reason they're married is because there's something that their marriage represents to you. So everything in the 3D and everything in our physical reality is a representation of a wound or a representation of a healing. So the marriage is a representation of quite a large wound, actually, and it's based on what it symbolizes to you. So so for example, it could symbolize to you that person doesn't love you, or that person has chosen someone else over you, or you're not special, or all sorts of things. And you're gonna have to figure out what that marriage is symbolizing to you. It could be symbolizing a ton of different things. It could be like you're comparing yourself to that other person and feeling like you're coming up short. So maybe that person is really skinny or really pretty or really handsome or really muscular or really tall, and you feel inadequate in that area. It could also be a lot of other things, like that person is the mother or father of your twin soul's children, so that's why they're staying with them. Or that person could be a financial security to them. Whatever that is, you have to look at what that marriage symbolizes to you, and then you also have to look at what that marriage likely symbolizes to your twin soul. And if you're in contact with them, then of course, ask them, like, figure out what's going on to the best of your ability. And all that means is that once you are able to clear those wounds, and there can be many of them, like, I just want to be clear, there could be many of those wounds, that marriage could naturally fall apart. Because the reason it would fall apart is because it's not needed anymore to show you that wound, because you've already healed it. So the other reason that's sometimes given for this scenario is that the twin soul who's in the marriage is with that person because they have things to heal that they can't heal with their actual twin soul. So sometimes they're in the marriage, sometimes they're with a soulmate or with a karmic in order to heal things that can then prepare them for the twin soul union. And that, I agree with that. I think that's true, but it's basically also just saying what I said to begin with, which is that it symbolizes a wound that that needs to be healed within the union. So it's basically all the same thing. I think, it's all about the wounding. You have to look at your own personal situation and dig into that to figure out what's actually going on. Once you do that, I do believe that the marriage can fall apart pretty quickly, because it just, again, it's a situation where, and this is true in all situations, I feel, that are in the physical, even if, like, for example, if you are having financial trouble, like, a lot of times that comes from your own wounding around self-worth and, like, a bunch of other stuff. And the financial trouble falls away once you heal those parts that it's representing. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's really just, it's law of attraction and manifestation principles. Like, it's like, not really saying anything that's unusual here. So basically, dig into this. As you dig into this, the marriage will no longer bother you at all, because it doesn't have any emotional charge for you. And then at that point, it really just falls away. So now let's talk about if you have met your twin soul and for some reason he or she gets married after you are already awakened to the process. So that's kind of a different story. And I think especially in our society, there are a couple things that represent big, huge upsets. And this is true even if they got married before you knew about twin souls, especially when you are clear that you're on this journey and you're awakened and then it happens. Typically that's trying to show you, like, a massive upset that you have. Some other examples of this happening. So it could be a marriage. A marriage is a pretty big upset that you're having. Your twin soul could have a child with someone else. That's a really big upset. Your twin soul could fall ill. That's a huge upset. Other stuff like losing a job, or like all of these things are larger upsets that are meant to show you something big, like a big wound that you have, or a big set of wounds that you have. Additionally, it can be that you have chosen a trial by fire in your twin soul union. So especially if you have decided, like, I'm going to choose to move fast through this twin soul union, then that can actually create one of these scenarios, including marriage. And the reason is because you've asked for the faster healing, so it's going to give you a bigger thing. So instead of giving you, like, your twin soul's in a relationship with someone else, it's going to give you your twin soul is getting married to somebody else, because it kind of amplifies the issue for you in order to help you heal faster. And that's something that you probably chose. So I just want to, and that's not meant to place blame, but it's meant to say, like, you chose to do a faster program, so then you tend to get the bigger upsets as a result. And either way you had the wounding. So it's like you were going to have to work through it one way or the other, but you kind of gave yourself less time for it. So in this scenario, it's similar to the first scenario in that it's representing something big for you. And a lot of times this is something that is it's often gonna hit you harder, I've seen. And the reason is because you really are experiencing a huge loss. So when somebody is married, like when you meet them or when you awaken to the connection with them, you already know that obstacle is there. But when it happens after you've awakened, it feels like something has been taken away from you. So that loss is the extra piece that you have to process. So you still have to process everything that I talked about in the first scenario. But then in addition to that, you have to process a ton of wounding around that loss. And so you want to look at what does the marriage represent to you, but then you also want to look at that loss and see like, where's the wounding around that loss? So it could be all sorts of things. It could be that you wanted to be the person's first spouse or like their only spouse. You could have wounding around that. It could be you have wounding around divorce. You have wounding around children. You have wounding around just societal expectations. It could be all sorts of things. So that's kind of an extra layer of stuff that you'll want to look at. Otherwise, again, everything, this is symbolic of something. I think that's the most important thing to understand. This is symbolic of something. You want to look at your emotions and figure out what it is symbolic of. And it's going to be symbolic of a number of things. Like if it's a marriage to someone else, then that's absolutely like not just one thing. It's not like, okay, I'm blocked on this one thing, and when I clear that, it's good. It's like there's like a bunch of stuff going on there. So just keep that in mind and be patient with yourself and really understand that it is, you're still like, it's not, I don't want to say it's not the end of the world. It probably feels like the end of the world, but it is something that you can work through and continue on with. So there are two other things I've seen in twin souls being married to another that I think are interesting, that tend to keep that person in the relationship. So aside from the wounding, one of the other things is, it's basically related to the wounding, but it's around judgment. So you want to look at the things you judge in other people. So for example, if you judge someone who would get divorced, for example, and it could be that you're fine with people getting divorced, but you think like they shouldn't get divorced if they have young kids. Or you think that men abandon their families, or you think that, women are, nags, or whatever it is. If you have judgment about that, of yourself or of other people, that can be a reason why that person stays in the marriage. So think about this. If you think that a man should never leave his wife and young children, for example, well, then, and your twin soul has young children with his wife, then you're not gonna, that person's not gonna get out of that relationship. And that's because why would they, like, whatever you judge, they also are judging that. So then they would be judging themselves, and that would hold them into that relationship. I think it's really important to examine your beliefs around divorce, your beliefs around children, and especially children of divorce. Those things are going to affect whether your twin soul stays in that marriage or not. And the more you can understand and identify, really just even identifying your own judgments around that, the more you can work through those, blocks or wounding or whatever you want to call it. And that really shifts their energy, and then that frees them. If they like wanted to leave that marriage, then that frees them to be able to do so. Another thing that I've seen holding people into the marriages is around core values. So if you've done the Twin Soul Union Core Value List exercise, which you can find at cardreadingqueen.com/freebies, if you've done that exercise, then you've basically created a list of values that are really important to you. And as you rise to that list of values, so will your twin. Of course, that list of values represents what you want your twins, what you would want your twin soul to be. And so that list of values can help you identify your twin soul or help you verify your twin soul. Now, sometimes there are values in there that conflict with our society's beliefs around marriage. So, for example, if some of your values include loyalty, like strong loyalty, commitment, responsibility, security, those types of things, then those can keep the person in their marriage. Because they share the same core values as you, they're going to stay in the marriage because they want to be loyal, or they want to remain committed, or they want to feel secure, and so on. And so I encourage you, if this scenario is playing out for you, check out your core values list, do the work on your core values list, and look at if there are things on that list that would conflict with them leaving their relationship. The last thing I want to say is that something that I see people doing a lot in this scenario is that they continue to try to go to the person who's married, and they continue to try to get that person's attention, or to get that person to leave their relationship through 3D means, basically, through 3D dating tactics. So they may be like trying to seduce that person out of their relationship. They may be trying to, contact that person when that person doesn't want to be contacted. They may be trying to have a relationship with that person. So sometimes it's a friendship, which a friendship is fine if it's truly a friendship. Sometimes it's like a romantic relationship. Sometimes it's cheating. And they might be doing all of these different things to try to get the person to leave their relationship. What I've seen is that it doesn't really work. And the reason, so it probably would work if this were not a twin soul relationship, but the reason is because nothing in the 3D is really going to work on this relationship until the wounding is cleared. So the wounding has to be like genuinely cleared before any 3D anything is going to work. What I've seen that happens most in these relationships is that the relationship falls apart easily because the relationship is not right for them. So it's not because, it's like almost never because there's like a third party. It's always because those people that are in the relationship and your twin soul is growing so much and just realizes through self-love that the relationship is not right for them. So then the relationship tends to fall apart naturally because that person is stepping into themselves and truly not settling anymore, that sort of thing. And all of that happens through clearing wounds within you, and then of course that clears wounds within them, and through just doing your spiritual work. So if you're in the scenario with the twin soul who's married, then the thing I recommend the most is don't try to go after them. Just sit back, do your own work, work on what that marriage symbolizes to you, and clear that. And as you do that, that relationship is going to fall apart on its own. It's not going to take any sort of like weird intervention from you. You don't have to, the most important thing is you don't have to lower yourself to being like the other woman or like the other man. You don't have to lower yourself to that. You can actually just come at it from a place of love and like the higher perspective, and just work on yourself. Be in complete integrity on your own and with yourself, and then that marriage will fall apart naturally. And then the last thing I'll say is that if there is this marriage piece that's part of your twin soul relationship, And this is true for like children as well. It's true for illness as well. It's true for any of the big life stressors. If this is what's in your twin soul relationship, I just want to point out to you that it may be part of your divine purpose and what you're clearing on the planet. A lot of us are clearing, fear-based things around societal expectations. A lot of us are clearing stuff around addiction. All of this stuff is really important. So if you're experiencing this, it could be because it's part of your mission and it's part of what you're here to clear. So I think the more positive you can think about this and just, getting on board with it and seeing that it's part of the path, the better off you'll be. I say all of that as gently as possible. I know I probably didn't say it super gently, but everything in this video, I do want to say that I understand that this is a really challenging topic. I understand that the people who are in these situations are in a great deal of pain. So I just want to end with that piece, is that I know that this is a very, very painful thing that is going on for you, and that these are, this video is meant to be very solutions oriented, but I have a lot of compassion for you. Everything I've put in this video is meant to help you through it as opposed to make you feel bad about it. So I just want to add that, because I know that it's very challenging of a topic. I hope this video was really helpful to you and maybe gave you some new angles to look at or some new ideas if you were feeling really stuck on the topic. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, subscribe, all the good stuff to the channel. If you want notifications when I post new videos, make sure you hit the bell. If you know anybody who this situation would apply to, please feel free to tag them in the comments or share this video with them. It could be very helpful to them, and it could be the breakthrough that they're looking for. If you want to learn even more about these scenarios that are possibly causing a lot of pain for you right now, and that you want to work through, make sure you check out my book, Your Twin Soul Journey. It contains all sorts of topics, all sorts of understanding about what this journey actually is. I think as you learn what the journey is about, it can really help you sort through some of these 3D issues that you might experience, such as a marriage, and help you see just how to energetically clear it out of your view and clear it out of your system. Have a beautiful and blessed day, and I will see you in the next video.